Well, folks, I would like to take a moment to share some commentary with our listeners and our YouTube viewers. Pennsylvania Equality Project is conducting year 4 of a 5-year survey about the affordability and sustainability of housing in Pennsylvania. Your input is needed to help us determine whether folks can afford their current housing, whether they are facing discrimination, and whether people are safe within their residence. The survey is open to the LGBTQ plus community, veterans, disabled people, and all marginalized communities in Pennsylvania. Thus far, we have learned that roughly 55% of all LGBTQ plus Pennsylvanians are renting their current residence. Of all the renters, 70% are barely able to afford or cannot afford where they are currently living. The data we collect will be shared with the Housing Coalition of Western PA and the other Continuum of Care organizations across Pennsylvania and the Human Rights Commission. People within the LGBTQ community are facing discriminatory issues across the country, and housing is a key part of the problem. However, it is not the only issue, as you heard from today's news stories. Conversion therapy among state-licensed mental health practitioners is an issue in states like Colorado that is now working to rewrite their laws to provide civil penalties against practitioners who offer conversion therapy to change the sexual orientation or gender identity of their clients. The practice has long been discredited by every major medical association across the country. While the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed it to continue via the Childs v. Salazar ruling, the European Union has banned the practice. It is abuse. Equally abusive is dictating to people within the transgender community that they must use public restrooms that align with their sex assigned at birth. Idaho is one example, but other GOP-dominant states will follow their lead if they haven't already. Being transgender in public is not and should never be a crime. Using the restroom as needed is simply part of human existence. Denying the transgender community of safe spaces to do so is not solving any problems. Rather, it is creating a problem that should not exist. 1 year in jail for using the bathroom that aligns with one's gender identity is cruel and unacceptable. If you disagree with this position, ask yourself why it is that you are so concerned about the genitalia of other people who are in the bathroom. Do your business in the restroom, wash your hands, and leave. Simple as that. Laws such as the one in Idaho are a solution in search of a problem. And if you are as worried about which bathroom someone else is using as you are the books a child is reading, please turn down the volume on your listening device while I share my next thoughts. Libraries, whether public libraries or those within schools, should not be censoring the books that are on their shelves. Reading a book, watching a television show or movie, listening to audio content on the radio will not turn your kids gay, nor will it make them transgender. I'm a gay man who lived through the 1970s and 1980s. With plenty of questions about my own sexual orientation back then. Resources were few. Authors often shied away from content that dealt with sexual orientation and gender identity. I wish I had books, movies, and other content I could have read or watched back then to answer questions about my identity. I could have learned more about what it meant to be gay. I could have learned more about my community's history. Parents, if your children are gay, rather than shield them from such content, or worse, send them to conversion therapists. Allow them to know more about who they are as humans. No amount of prayer, no amount of talk therapy, no counseling will change their sexual orientation or gender identity. After all, even though InfoWars is dead, Alex Jones and other content creators like him are spreading homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic, xenophobic disinformation faster than ever. The conspiracy theories about marginalized communities harm those communities who need the most help. No one should face discrimination based on their race, And parents of children who die tragically in school shootings should not have to suffer twice by the idiotic conspiracy theories which lead the sycophantic followers of those who spread their lies. People from around the world have come to the United States for generations seeking a better life. They should not suffer simply because the President of the United States dislikes people who aren't wealthy, white, Christian nationalists. Whether those immigrants are cisgender or not, whether they are gay, queer, or straight, whether they have different religious views, should not matter one iota. Most immigrants come to the United States peacefully, work diligently, pay taxes, and do not recoup any federal benefits that are intended for U.S. citizens. Content creators like Alex Jones and Libs of TikTok, states like Idaho, and organizations like Moms for Liberty should be allowed to speak as they wish. But their words come with a price if they are slanderous, libelous, or simply falsehoods. Let your kids learn and grow. Use the bathroom that fits their gender identity and read books without fear of reprisal, just as long as they wash their hands when they are done in the restroom. Coming up at noon, we have a full hour of Dylan Scheidmantel in the Smokers Lounge. At 1, Lindsey Graham has a full hour of American History Tellers. This week's topic is the Cold War. At 2, join us for Coffee Clutch with Robert Reich. And at 3, Mike and Dory Morris have a new episode of Othering Podcast. That wraps up our show for this week. Be sure to come back next weekend for another episode of Stand with Pride.